Hey, I'm Michael Coker, Mayor of the City of Mulberry, and today's going to be a very special episode of Coker on the Record where I'm going to go through your questions and answer them here live on the air. So if you want to hear those answers, definitely stay tuned. One of the most important things that I do as mayor is answer constituent questions. And so constituents often reach out to me either by phone or email and ask me questions about certain aspects of the city. And so I want to share some of those questions that were submitted for my podcast here today. We're going to go over the answers to them. And if you have a question that you'd like to see answered, obviously send me an email at michael.coker@mulberryga.gov, and you might hear your question answered on the next podcast. So let's go ahead and jump in. The first question here is, are golf carts legal in Mulberry? If so, do I need a tag or permit to drive mine? So this is a very interesting one. I know that there's many people, particularly around the Hamilton Mill area, that own a golf cart. And I will tell you that this is something that the city of Mulberry is currently working on. The city has the opportunity to issue basically a tag or a license for golf cart vehicles, which would allow you to ride them throughout the city. I will tell you that what we're hearing right now from Gwinnett Police is that these vehicles should not be driven on sidewalks, on public roads. And so they are definitely something I would check with your local Gwinnett County Police Department, district office, see what they say about whether or not they're permitting them. But we are working on a solution at the city level. So this is something that's important, I know, to many of the residents in our city, particularly those in Hamilton Mill. And so we are definitely working to an option to where the city can actually issue you a tag or a permit for that particular golf cart to give you the ability to drive it around and to freely move from place to place. Because I would love nothing more than for the city to one day be like a Peachtree Corners or even Braselton, where you can take your golf cart. Maybe we have wider sidewalks. Take your golf cart to dinner or to maybe the park as just an easy way to transport yourself and your family. So we're definitely working on that in Mulberry. So my answer to that question is stay tuned, but that's definitely something that's a high priority for us in Mulberry. All right, question 2. Is there any plan for a heritage or history center in Mulberry? That's an interesting one that I have not thought of. No, we don't currently have a plan for a heritage or history center, but I think it's a great idea. Many people don't know how much history we have here in our city. The city of Mulberry was part of the original 13 colonies. We're actually one of the only parts of Gwinnett County that were involved in the original 13 colonies, which is very, very cool. Especially the area around Little Mulberry Park was very big, was Native American land. And so there's many aspects of Native American land surrounding that area that, you can still see stone formations and the like. And so I think that's a great idea. I've never thought about a heritage or history center in Mulberry, but that is definitely something we could include in the future, particularly if the city gets its own city center or city hall. That might be a great option to add that in there as part of the heritage. So if that's something that you're passionate about, if you're passionate about history or the city's heritage, I would definitely recommend that you reach out to us because we would love your help. That's a great idea to maybe publish some of the historical facts and history that I bet many people in our city don't even know. So definitely something to look forward to in the future. All right, question 3. Has the Georgia Department of Transportation considered a diverging diamond at Hamilton Mill to ease traffic like what's used at I-85 and Jimmy Carter? This is a good question, and I will tell you that I actually met the director of the Georgia Department of Transportation, the commissioner, had met with me as well as a couple of the other representatives from both the city and our local state delegation. We talked extensively about some of the traffic concerns that we have in Mulberry. There was some discussion about adding an additional exit at Spout Springs Road or at Flowery Branch Road as ways to relieve the traffic. Unfortunately, I was told by the Georgia Department of Transportation that even if we were to start today about building an exit at Spout Springs or at Flowery Branch, that is likely going to be a 15-year project. So as far as some immediate relief or getting something done immediately, that's not looking like it's going to be a possibility. Now, it's still important, and we still have talked about starting that process for down the road. But it does not look like it's something that can be done now as an immediate relief for kind of the traffic that we get up and down 124 or Spout Springs or Flowery Branch Road. And the commissioner pointed me to the McGinnis Ferry. So if you ever know, they're building an additional exit ramp at McGinnis Ferry. I believe it's actually just a one-way on one side. And he was saying that that project started over 15 years ago. Is when they started that. So, and it still is not open yet. So they're still waiting for that date for it to open. So unfortunately, the exit looks like it's going to be a tough one. Regarding the Diverging Diamond, we had asked about that, and we were told that the bridge might not be big enough for that. And so if you look at the bridges at, say, Ashford Dunwoody or Jimmy Carter, you'll notice that they're much wider to allow for that kind of diamond shape interchanged. I know that they are still going back to the drawing board, so there is going to be some changes that are going to be made to the exit ramp of Hamilton Mill Road and at I-85, from I-85 northbound at Hamilton Mill Road, that exit ramp. They're going to add an additional turning lane for right turn lane, and then there's going to be some road improvements that are going to be done just in front of the Hamilton Mill neighborhood. So they'll kind of help some of that traffic get off the interstate. Now, it's kind of a Band-Aid. If I'm being 100% honest, I don't think this is going to solve all of our traffic problems, and it's really not going to do much for people trying to get onto the expressway, either from Hamilton Mill or from, up near Mill Creek High School, coming down to Hamilton Mill exit. So we are going back to the drawing board. We've been talking with the state DOT. So it's really important to know that the state DOT handles all state highways. And 124 is a state highway, so they would have jurisdiction and authority to do that. They also have jurisdiction through the federal government for the interstate. And so as much as the city would like to make improvements or to do things to these intersections, we're kind of limited in what we can and cannot do. And so we're going to continue to work with the DOT, continue to work with the Georgia Department of Transportation for various road improvements, but it's still something we're actively working on. All right, question 4. Do I need a permit to convert a bathroom into a full bath? Okay, well, that's a very specific question, but let me just talk about permitting in general. If you have any questions about whether or not you need a permit to do something at your home, the best thing to do is to call City Hall. We have a phenomenal staff through Clark Patterson Lee, who's handling all of our permitting, all of our inspections, and they can give you whatever answers you need. And it's just a simple phone call. You can pick up the phone. You'll probably be redirected to Morgan, who will answer your phone call, and she'll basically tell you exactly what you need to do, exactly what's required by our local ordinances, and whether or not you need a permit. So instead of me answering that individual question, I'm going to tell you, pick up the phone, call Morgan. She's phenomenal. Or if you're having any work done at your house and you're just curious, do I need a permit for this? They're very kind. They'll give you a truthful answer, and you'll know exactly what's required by the city. All right, question 5. There have been strange noises and suspicious activity near our neighborhood. Where should we report it? Great question. And obviously safety is one of the most important things that we want to continue to keep our city safe. So basically, Gwinnett County Police Department is still handling all the public safety aspects within our city at the current time. And so what I would tell you is, if there's something that seems suspicious, it seems off, if it's an emergency, obviously call 911. But Gwinnett County also has a non-emergency line. So if there's just something that seems off or doesn't feel right, but it's maybe not an emergency, you can also call the non-emergency line, and they'll send an officer out to take a look and to walk around. And so definitely do that. Definitely call the police department, report things that you see that just don't feel right or seem off. And then that way they can respond to it. And we have some phenomenal officers at Gwinnett County Police Department. Major Bailey from our local precinct comes to almost every one of our city council meetings. He's committed to keeping Mulberry safe, to being a good partner with us. We have had a great experience with the Gwinnett County Police, and they've done a phenomenal job. And so they are definitely somebody you want to reach out to if there's something suspicious, and they are going to be the ones that are going to be able to respond to that and be the most effective. All right, question 6. Why are we seeing new developments along Braselton Highway between Trilogy Park and Hamilton Mill, and also on Bill Cheek Road? I thought the drive for Mulberry was to slow new developments. Okay, so this is a great question and something I'm actually very glad that someone asked. And I don't see these questions ahead of time, just so you know. So a lot of these developments that you're currently seeing were approved by Gwinnett County prior to the city being formed. And here's an important thing to know is that from the moment an application is submitted for a new development, it can be years, sometimes 5, 6 years even, before the first tree's cut down for that development. And so many of these large-scale developments that you're seeing were all approved by Gwinnett County. As of the taping of this episode, there's been very few rezonings that the city has done so far. Now, there's been a couple, but very few, none of these big, giant developments that you're talking about. And so these were all developments that were already approved by Gwinnett. And so the landowners had already gone through the process with Gwinnett County, gotten their approval, and are moving forward with their development. And so when you see these big developments, it doesn't mean that these were something that Mulberry jumped on and that we did. But unfortunately, many of these were approved before the city was ever founded, before a city council was ever involved. Once the county has given them approval, there's very little we can do from that standpoint. So that's why you might be seeing some of these developments and going, whoa, 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 what's going on? I thought we approved Mulberry. Why? I haven't heard about this. My local city council person hasn't told me anything about this. It's because many of these developments were approved much way in the past, and they're just now breaking ground, just now moving forward with these. And so if there's ever a doubt, if you're curious as to what Mulberry has approved or what the Gwinnett County has approved, go to our website, mulberryga.gov, and go through our past city council meetings. You can either watch them on our YouTube channel, or you can just review the agendas and the meeting minutes, and those are going to tell you the exact parcels, the exact projects that Mulberry approved. And if you don't see the project listed on that Mulberry meeting minutes, that means it was approved prior to Mulberry's creation by Gwinnett County. So definitely a good way to determine whether or not Gwinnett County approved the development or whether or not it was done by the city of Mulberry is to check our website, check our meeting minutes, and that's going to give you all the information you need. But many of these that you suggested were already in place by Gwinnett County prior to the city's creation. So just so you know that. All right. I think that's my last question. So that was 6 great questions from constituents. So if you want to hear your question read, send an email. Send an email to me at michael.coker@mulberryga.gov. And I will try to answer as many as I can here on the podcast. But otherwise, if you like getting these updates, if you like learning more about Mulberry, definitely like and subscribe. But until next time, thanks for watching.